Greetings, gamers. I'm Mark.
And I'm Manuel.
And welcome to Tabletop Throwdown. Okay, Manuel, we are back. How you doing, buddy?
I'm feeling good in the neighborhood.
Excellent. And Carson, we're happy to introduce you. How are you?
Great, happy to be here.
Great. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, your gaming background, and why you were so passionate about Warcrow.
Sure. So I kind of started gaming maybe about a decade ago in college. I played a little Warhammer. Wasn't really for me. But then dove into X-Wing really heavily. Played X-Wing very competitively, very heavily for a decade. As that game was kind of falling off and I was kind of looking for new things, I found or refound a game called Infinity. Infinity is a sci-fi skirmish game made by Corvus Belli. Corvus Belli is a Spanish company, maybe my favorite gaming company in the world right now. This game, Warcrow, is their new fantasy IP, their new take on a skirmish fantasy game, and I've jumped in right as soon as they announced it. I'm a big fantasy fan, and I've loved every second I've seen so far, so only getting more and more passionate here.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Manuel, are you ready to dive into this cold, perilous landscape?
Absolutely. I love the look of this game, and I can't wait. I've had a look at the factions, and I think today I'll go ahead and play the orcs over here. They look really cool, and
My favorites.
I can't wait to get into
My
them.
favorites.
Excellent choice. And folks, there are plenty of how to play videos out there online, so we're going to dive right into the action and let Carson and Manuel take it away.
Okay, and here we are set up, ready to go. We are starting this demo sort of mid-stride, mid-game. We're basically at the top of the second
round.
The second round.
Yeah.
As it's been explained to me, the rounds are played in a certain number of turns. In this case, there's 5 turns per round in this particular mission, is my understanding?
Yes, there's 5 turns in this round. That is probably too many for the size of the minis we have on the table. We haven't put out an entirely full game here, so we'll see how it works.
Okay, so we're at the top of the round here, and so all we need to determine now is which one of us is going to go first. This is an alternating activation type of game, so one of us has to go first, and how we're going to determine
So there's an initiative marker here, right? And after each round, the initiative marker goes to the player who is behind in the victory points. So at the end of the first round, the hegemony here scored a point for keeping both of their home objectives secure and a point for controlling the center, whereas the northern tribes only scored a point for keeping their home objectives secure. So the hegemony is currently leading 2-1, which means that the northern tribes player has initiative. Now the player with initiative for the round decides who goes first for that round. So Manuel here will get to choose whether he wants the northern tribes to take the first turn of the round or the hegemony to take the first turn. And then it will go back and forth from there for 5 activations each.
Okay, sounds straightforward. So, as the person with the initiative, I'm going to go ahead and decide to go first.
Good idea.
So we're going to start off here, and I'm looking at the various situations here across the board. And what I'd like to try to do to start off here is to do a charge with my squad of orcs over here on these guys here, which are called?
Those are the bucklermen.
The bucklermen of the hegemony. So. My Orc Hunter squad is going to go ahead and do a charge on the bucklermen.
Great. So, to do the charge, you have your movement value here, right? And the number in the brackets is your charge range.
That's a 10.
So you got 10, and always remember you get to add 2 in this game because you get the base length on the end. You move from front to back in this game.
Great.
So,
and that's measured from the
leader. Always from the leader.
The guy with the horns on here. So
and
we're
you
going
can
to
go into any of my people. Now, I would suggest that you end up at 3 of this center objective.
I see.
In an attempt to claim it.
That makes good sense. So he can go easily this far, and then I can just pile my guys in around.
Sure. Well, you got to hit me. You got to hit base contact with me.
Oh, okay.
So you got to be in there. Yep, perfect.
Base contact, and then the
Go
guys.
ahead and pile them in. Yep. They must be touching one of my squad if possible. While remaining in cohesion with the leader, which is 2 strides. So over there is good.
Go there, and he can go there, and he can certainly go there, and probably this guy can probably make it
all the way back here. He doesn't have to go. He doesn't have to. He's not limited by the range, by the charge range. He's only limited by being in cohesion with the leader at the end of the move. You only measure movement from the leader.
And how close must he be to the leader?
2 strides, which is 1 base length. So if he's over here, he's probably fine.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So we'll put him there then.
Yep. There you go.
Okay.
Orcs have charged in. menacingly.
Excellent. So, having
Now.
charged in, now I presume I go ahead and roll an attack of some sort.
You do. If there was anything that were to trigger off the charge, now is when it would happen. Nothing on this attack right now, right? So you have your attack dice there. So those are the dice you are gathering.
So I'm going to be gathering up, looks like 1 red die, 3 orange dice, and 1 yellow die.
And then, note down here, you have this wise mane, the old orc, the old wise orc right here, embedded in this unit, right? When you attack, he gives you some bonuses here. So he's giving you a free hit. I'm going to go ahead and put this out here. So on top of whatever you roll, you get this free hit.
Nice.
Now, you may also take a stress to add a red die to that roll if you desire.
Given that we're right into the scrum here, I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and take
Sure.
a stress.
Okay.
How do I mark a stress on my character
We
here?
have these fancy stress tokens right here. So
Awesome.
that is number 1. That is a 1 stress right there.
Okay.
You take 1 stress. Your morale value stress goes with the morale value, right? Your morale value is 1. The wise man gives you another 1. So you're under your morale, and as long as you're under your morale, there's no downside at all. So
Awesome.
this seems fine. So you're going to take another red die.
Awesome.
Roll that in there. Now note, he also gives you a special. So you're getting a hit and a special now for free.
Excellent. So at
All
this
right.
point, all that's left is to roll the dice.
Let me gather my defense. Let me get
great.
to that, because we roll these together. You get to see what my defense roll is before deciding
Awesome.
on your switches and things. So, Black Legion Bucklerman here, roll 2 greens and a black die on defense. So this will be my defense roll. That's your offense roll.
Awesome.
So we're going to roll this.
Here we go.
Okay, and then now you can add this in here, and these are the symbols you roll.
Let's see. Looks like I got a pile
Okay,
of
let's
hits with some specials, looks like.
Okay, now note, hollow hits are not hits. They're a different symbol, right?
Okay.
So you can, those will not count as hits right now. Right now you only have 4 hits.
Okay.
Sometimes you can spend them for other things. I don't believe this unit has a way to do that. Now, because you charged, one of the benefits of charging is you may re-roll your entire attack roll if you desire, but you must re-roll all of the dice.
Okay.
I would say getting 3 hits on those 6 dice is slightly below average, and I would recommend re-rolling here. But that choice is up to you, of course, right? You're always taking risk there. You could roll fewer. And then you also have this little modifier right here. You can spend command tokens to fix your dice, but we'll get into that. I would re-roll this charge right here. I do not believe that was a very effective charge. Getting no hits on any of these dice.
Yeah, I think I'm inclined to agree with you on that. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and apply that.
But you always get to see, this is my defense roll. Before you make that decision, you get to say, I rolled 2 blocks and 1 special, and the Bucklerman can change specials into blocks. So I have 3 blocks sitting here on the table.
Okay, so here we go. I'm going to go ahead and try this
Sure.
roll again. Hopefully I'll get a few more hits this time.
You should.
Well, let's see what happens. Oh, you don't know my dice rolling.
Hey, you did.
It looks like I got a few more
You got a
hits.
few more hits. So your red dice were slightly worse, but the rest of the dice made up for it. Alrighty, so and then we can add these in here. So right now you are sitting on 6 hits, and 2 specials and 1 hollow special. You don't have any triggers for the hollow specials. That's fine. Not everybody has triggers for everything, right? But you do have 2 specials here, and you do have a trigger for that. So under your attack dice are your switches, right?
Yeah, it says your target receives the vulnerable state.
Yes. So you can spend those 2 special results to apply that switch. You don't have anything else to spend them on. But sometimes you might, right? Some characters can choose between, I can spend specials on this or on this. But you have to spend them to do it, right? You don't get them.
It so happens that my character has that same exact...
He does. Yes. He can give it to somebody else.
So, yes, I'll go ahead and expend those 2 specials to apply the vulnerable
Great.
state, and then we will take care
The
of
way
it.
I like doing it is just make your dice pool correct, right? So when you spend the symbols, take the symbols off, right? So you will apply the vulnerable state to me. Now, states don't apply until the end, so it won't matter for this combat right now. But in future combats, when these Bucklermen who are now vulnerable are attacked, they will have to lose a defense die after rolling.
I see.
So it makes them much more vulnerable. So here's what you have rolled. I also get to apply my switches. So I have a switch, the Bucklermen have a switch where they can spend a special to add a block. So I will do that.
Great.
Great. You can apply those as many times as you wish as well. These aren't a one-time thing. Now, you can't apply more than one vulnerable state. But if I had rolled 3 specials, I could spend all 3 of them to change them all into blocks. So I have 3 blocks. This works pretty straightforwardly. I spend 3 blocks and we cancel 3 hits, right?
Right. Very
And then remaining, we have 3 hits. Okay?
Correct.
Perfect number. Buckler men and most models in this game have 2 wounds. So 2 of these damage kills one. It doesn't matter which one I pick. And then the 3rd damage goes on the card, right? So they lost a model and they have 1 damage. So if they take 1 more damage, 1 model will die.
Gotcha. And that removal is immediate?
That removal is immediate. Yep. Now, post-combat, there is always a winner, well, not always, but there's a winner and a loser of combat, right? Whoever was dealt more wounds is the loser of combat. And that matters for a couple reasons. If you both deal the same, then nobody wins or loses. But if you lose combat, you take a stress. Straight up. So they are now stressed. And their stress equals their morale, which is important for a couple reasons. Then, after that, if you win combat, you're allowed to push the defender back, which means you force me to move my first move value away from you. And that's your choice. You can decide yes or no, I would like to do that or not. I would like to push you back or I would not like to push you back.
Well, I would probably so because I want to go ahead and win this objective. So
this is a game of objective control, yes.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and do that.
So you decide to push me back. Now, I have a choice to decide to refuse to be pushed back. But to do that, I must take a stress. Okay? Now, because my stress is equal to my morale value, I am not actually allowed to go above my morale willingly. So I cannot actually take that option. I must be pushed back, and I will be. So I go for my leader, and I go away from you, my first movement value, and then I put these other ones in cohesion however I wish. Now, noted, we are no longer engaged.
There we go.
However, this matters a little bit. Generally, you kind of want to be remain engaged if you charged, because in this instance, I could feasibly charge you back, right? Now I'm stressed, and you're not really worried about that, but it is a thing. When you push somebody back afterwards, you are allowed to follow up your first movement value, if you would like to. However, doing that probably takes you out of range of the objective. These guys can't charge you anymore because they're at their morale and they're not going to be able to activate. Well, not be able to activate, do anything but rest. So, probably not worried.
It seems to me that at this point it's best to remain in control of the objectives. Absolutely. And you've become a little bit less dangerous now with the loss of the 1 unit.
Yes. Now, note, my dice don't actually get worse. My stats don't actually get worse until I'm at half. So I'm not actually worse right now than I was previously, but I'm much closer to being worse.
You're much closer.
much closer. Okay, at the end, that would be the end of your activation. Your charge is a full action, right? Mm-hmm. At the end of your activation, you check for control of objectives around that model. Okay? Only at the end, right? So if you had followed up and left the objective behind, you wouldn't take control of it. If I were to have left, which then would leave you in control of it, you don't actually take control until that unit activates, right? But you are here. You are within 3 of the objective, easily. If you are the only person within 3 of the objective, you will claim it. If you are not the only person, we go to these little conquest values right here, but that's not important right now. Whoever has the most conquest would claim it. But as you are the only person there, you claim the objective, flip it to the northern tribe size, and they now have control of the middle. If you maintain control of the middle until the end of the round, you will score a point for that.
Awesome. Okay, so that is my first activation done, which I suppose means it goes to you now.
Then it would go to me, yes. And I would, let's put an activation marker on these orcs so we remember that they have activated.
Very good.
That will come into play. You can activate things more than once. We'll go over that on your next turn. Okay, so I have some options here. Now, my Black Legion Bucklermen, as their stress equals their morale, means if I activate them, the only thing they can do is rest, which would then remove stress, but I'm not doing anything else, right? And I probably want to be doing something instead. So I'm going to go ahead and activate my mage here. We've seen a little melee combat. Let's throw some spells around. So we're going to take the mage. I'm going to choose to activate him. So I'm going to put an activation marker on his card. Then we're going to go ahead and move. I'm going to walk my way. I'm a 4/3. I'm a very fast elf. 4/3. I'm going to check if I'm here. I'm not quite there. So either I must move again, or to take the point, or I must do something else. So let's do something else. Let's throw a little magic over here. Let's shoot a fireball at these orcs right here. All right.
Okay.
So To cast a spell, I declare that I'm casting the spell on my card. This spell is called Fire Blaze. It says target enemy unit within 7 strides. I think you're well within 7. Now, I can take a couple modifiers here. The first one is I can make it 12 strides instead of 7. I don't need that. I'm already within 7. The other one, though, I will take, which is to gain the switch, I can spend specials to cancel your blocks. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, to cast the spell, I must successfully cast it before we move on to the effects of the spell. So to cast the spell, I must pass a willpower check. My willpower is 3 orange dice, and I will be rolling against the 1 black die that I get from my modifier that I applied. I just need to roll 1 hit here, period. So, here we go.
Got it.
And I rolled 2 hits and 1 block. So like normally, blocks cancel hits, right? But I did still maintain 1 hit, so the spell is successfully cast. So once the spell is successfully cast, you go down through the effects. And the effects of this spell say resolve a ranged attack using red, orange, yellow, yellow against the target. And I have this switch that I have added from my modifier that lets me spend specials to cancel your blocks. So this is a ranged attack, which means it's you roll offense versus defense like normal. Your defense dice don't change on a ranged attack. The only thing that does change is you cannot spend your switches, so you cannot things like spend blocks to add hits. And if you were to roll, some characters can roll offensive dice while defending. You cannot do that against a ranged attack.
Okay.
Doesn't apply there, but you just can't spend your switch either. So
Here we go.
here's the attack.
And just for the sake of the audience here, my defense is 1 green die and 2 black dice.
Okay. So we go to the apply switches step. We go to mods, but I don't have any rerolls, and I don't believe you do either. So we go to switches. You cannot apply switches as the defender of a range attack, right? But I can, and I have this switch where I can spend specials to cancel blocks. And I did roll 2 specials, so I will spend them to cancel your 2 blocks.
Okay. Which means I haven't blocked at all, basically.
You haven't blocked at all. Which means there are 3 hits remaining, and you will take 3 hits.
Okay.
Much like the Bucklerman just did.
Okay, so my individual guys have 2 wounds apiece. Do I get to select who I remove?
Yes, you may select who you remove. You must remove the commander last. That is the only rule.
So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead. We've lost 1 guy altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's 1 point left, which is going to go on my card. And that will be a head start on the next guy.
On the next guy. Yep.
There we go.
Exactly. And then we would check objective control, right? I am not within 3 of this objective, so I do not even contest it. Even if I were there, I would not have enough value. Now, note, there's a couple things. Range attacks don't apply. You don't get stressed if you lose the range attack. You can't get pushed back from a range attack, for losing. Any of that doesn't matter. But there it is. So that is my mage. My mage has gone. So now, that is a turn. Okay? So we rotate the turn tracker to turn 7. And goes back to you.
Okay, great. Let's see here. I'm probably going to go ahead, since these guys have already activated, I can't activate them again.
So we can go over this. You can. You just must take stress to do so.
I think I'm going to elect not to do that here.
Understandable.
And so I have this gentleman here. He's my character, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have him move in. Let's pre-measure.
You're allowed to pre-measure anything.
He's got a move of 4 and 3, looks like.
And a charge of?
And a charge of 10.
Yep. As long as you're within 12 there, you can charge me just fine. And you generally always want to charge rather than assault if you can.
Yeah, I think he can do a charge. He's well enough within range to do a charge. So let's go ahead and get crunchy with that.
All right,
mage.
let's do it.
Let's do that. So he
Straight
goes
line,
straight
wham.
in there and wham. Okay, very well.
This
So
is going to be very problematic for this mage.
probably. I get to attack with, it looks like 2 reds, an orange, and a yellow. So let me go ahead and fish those out first. 2 reds, an orange, and a yellow. And then I've got my lightning symbol here, which, refresh my memory, the lightning symbol means
you can take a stress to add those, to add whatever it says. So in this case, you would add
an automatic hit and a switch.
Hit and an automatic special, yes.
Special. So I believe I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and take a stress. So
you do have a morale value of 3, so stress is he's not so concerned about stress right now.
Right. So I'm going to go ahead and do that.
I'm going to add these to your roll.
So That's me done. That's
you
me
done?
ready and
Ready
set.
to go? I am rolling, the mage here is rolling 1 blue die, and he adds 1 block on top of that.
Okay, great. So here we go. So it looks like I've got 4
Good
hits
stuff here.
and a couple specials.
Now, no, you could re-roll that whole thing if you would like. I don't believe you want to this time, but you could because you charged.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and stand pat.
That would be the first thing we decided. Then we move on to the switch activation. You have a couple things you want to do. You could do here. Now, we're very. I only have 2 wounds, and I've only rolled 1 block. So you've killed me a couple times over already. There's a lot of things you could do here to kill me more, but I don't know how much of it matters.
I think from a game mechanics standpoint, let's
go over it. Sure.
Let's go a few things.
Great.
So, for example, I've got a 2 switches will allow me to cancel 1 block.
Absolutely, and you've got 3.
And I've got 2.
You added these symbols as well.
And these
yes.
as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that.
Sure,
That
absolutely.
Cancels
the block. So I have nothing left.
And then a hollow hit says here inflicts 1
wound to your target. So that is like a better hit, right? Because it would go around my defense or go around whatever. If I rolled 12 blocks and you rolled 2 hollow hits, you could still spend those 2 hollow hits to inflict 2 wounds to me. Right?
So we're gonna stack them deep.
Very good. Yeah, it would be a lot, taking a lot of wounds here.
Right.
There's one more thing here, which is that this character, Njord the Merciless, does have the elite keyword. The elite keyword is found on kind of the big characters in the game. Elite means your choice. You may change any of your hollow symbols to full symbols.
I see.
So in this instance, it's exactly the same because he could spend hollows to do wounds. But he could also just change it into a hit.
I see.
All right. Looks like you're doing 6 to me.
At least.
I've got 2 wounds, so I'm very dead here.
Okay, so there goes the mage.
There goes the mage. Learned a very important thing, which is that mages are very squishy.
Yeah.
Don't let your mages get hit.
Right.
Now, you've kind of activated a special rule that we didn't really talk about, but if you perform a melee attack and you fully eliminate the defender, which means remove all of their models, at the end of that attack, you get 1 free move action.
I see.
So you may move your value, which is what, a 4/3, 1 time, anywhere you would like, if you would like to.
I see. I think that given that I've already got a stress on him, and I've already done very well eliminating a whole unit, in essence, a character in this case, but a unit nonetheless, I think I'm probably going to go ahead and just stand pat. I'm going to go ahead and guard this.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
then
as long as you're
later-
within 3 of that. But even if you weren't, like say you had charged me over here, you could just use that move to be like, no, I'm going to...
Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. We'll just move him back here and kind of
just
defend that spot.
Defend the spot, yeah.
Okay. So that's my activation done.
That is your activation done. So then it is on to me. So let me do a little measuring here. At about 11. I only charge 10. I'm very short. 4 and 5, 9, 10. Yeah, not worth it. Not gonna happen. Let's shoot some people then.
Okay.
I'm gonna. We did not put an activation counter over here.
Yes,
Let's
there we
do
go.
that. So
Yes.
I remember. I'm gonna go ahead and activate Lady Talia. Lady Talia is the pioneer, the only human ever accepted into the illustrious Pioneer Corps. She has a big gun in a fantasy game, and that is a superpower all of its own.
There we go.
So, let's see who we want to shoot at here. I probably want to shoot at Mr. Njord there. I think that seems like a good idea.
I think you'd probably be wise to do that.
All right. So Lady Talia has a range of 15 strides, which is very, very far. You are well within range already. But shooting is a short action, so I can move and do it anyway. So I'm going to move a little bit, give myself a little bit more distance here. So we'll make sure I stay at 15, and I'm well within 15. And then I will go ahead and shoot at you. Now, Talia rolls a decent amount of dice here, and this is a ranged attack much like the spell we just did. So it's going to be the exact same. You're going to roll your defense, you just can't activate your switches, and you can't roll any red, orange, or yellow dice. Njord has this trait, right, where he could take a stress to roll a red and orange on defense. It just won't work against a ranged attack. Right? You're not allowed to roll those dice. So, yeah, we'll shoot at Njord. My dice here, I'm rolling a red, 2 yellows, and then adding a hit.
And I can take a stress to roll an extra yellow, which I will do.
And then in opposition here, Njord is just rolling a green die and 2 blue.
Mm-hmm. That is. He is a tanky boy. Those are good dice. I'm going to use this headshot. The headshot attack, but that just gives me aim. It's the same. It's the same as always. So aim means I can re-roll this whole roll if I would like to. It's like a charge.
Like a charge.
Like
Gotcha.
So,
Okay, here we go.
here we are. Ooh. That is not a lot of hits. Alright, you've rolled 2 blocks on me. I'm going to go ahead and re-roll all of this because I rolled a lot of switches that don't really help me very much. That is better. That is technically better. Okay. I have 4 hits here and 2 specials. You've rolled 2 blocks. You can't apply specials, or can't apply switches, so anything. So okay, I will spend my 2 switches here to give you the frightened state. I believe, unless you are fearless, but I don't believe you are. No,
I don't believe so.
it will be right there. Frightened means if you ever must make a morale check and you pass it, you must re-roll it. If you pass it again, then you get rid of frightened.
I see.
Until you've passed a morale check, you remain frightened and must re-roll your past ones. Okay, and then I have 4 hits remaining. You have 2 blocks.
Okay.
Cancel 2 hits. We do 2 damage.
Okay, great. So we're going to mark 2 off of this guy, which I would assume would be
We are in here. 1, 2. This is not
just
the
for the
best.
benefit of the audience. This character has 4 wounds. So
Oh,
I've
really?
taken 2.
Halfway there.
Halfway there.
Characters are very strong, but note that he does cost twice as much as your entire band of orc hunters here. So all by himself. So, okay, that is my second turn. I check objectives. Nothing to check there. We go to turn 8.
Turn 8. Awesome.
It is your choice.
Okay, and it looks to me then I've only really have 1 unit left here, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and move my
The Marauders.
The Marauders over here.
This is probably the most complicated unit we have on the field right now, just because I want to draw your attention to this Snow Leopard Tattoo ability, which is an ability that lets them place themselves within 10 strides of where they are, and then perform an attack if they are engaged. They are the only unit in the game that can kind of move and then do a move and attack, which means they can attack from very far away compared to most things.
Well, it seems to me that they are... So let me get this straight.
Yep.
So this Snow Leopard Tattoo allows me to move them 10?
So that's a short skill, right? So you could do a move action first, and then do this ability and move them another 10 and perform an attack.
Right, so that's probably what I'm going to do here in order to bring me into contact with these guys.
Most units couldn't attack from this far, right? Because you're limited to your charge range or your assault range.
Right,
But,
so I'm going to go ahead and do my move of 4 first. That would bring my guys up to here.
Yep. So that's the first half, right? You get a 4-3. So you get another
4-3.
3 as well, if you would like it.
But that brings me
You're
well
already
within,
fine. Yep.
yeah. And I presume these guys would then
Yep.
follow.
Anywhere into cohesion, but feel free to do the entire...
Right.
If you're going to move. Don't worry about it.
Right. And so then we do our
Snow Leopard Tattoo.
10. So we'll bring him over here.
Sure.
Into contact, and then these guys go into
They
cohesion
just all
with
go
them.
in there, yep.
So, like so, and like so, and probably like so.
Great.
Just so.
Works for me.
Okay.
You do the bulwarks.
And at this point then, it's just a standard attack.
It is a
then.
standard attack. So
Not a charge attack,
Not a
so I don't
charge
get to
attack.
reroll.
And that is good for you, because the bulwarks have special abilities that defend them against charges.
I see.
If you charge the bulwarks, it is much worse for you than if you don't.
Okay, so my stat line here, if you will, says 3 orange dice, and then there's a
And a
black hit.
So you just add a hit to your...
So I get an automatic
Okay,
hit on
just
that.
pick a
then. So
die
we'll
with a
just,
hit on
okay,
it.
so there's my automatic hit there.
Great, 3 orange
And
dice.
my 3 orange dice, and
Which
your
is
guys
not very
get...
offensive. Those units don't hit very hard, but they are very maneuverable. So they're, give and take,
There we go.
as always. The bulwarks are very defensive. The bulwarks roll a green die, 2 black dice, and add a block.
Nice. Okay. So those kind of cancel out there. All right. And we ready to roll?
And we're ready to roll.
Okay, here we go. Looks like I've got 2 hits and a hollow hit.
2 hits and a hollow hit. Now the hollow hit is not a hit, right? And you don't have anything to trigger on it. So it's effectively a blank for you. I have rolled 3 blocks and 1 special. The 1 special is not enough for me to trigger anything of mine. But that 3 blocks is enough to cancel your 3 hits. You did roll 3 hits because you get the +1. Right. You get that out.
Right.
But 3 to 3, no hits, no damage is done. If no damage is done, then nobody has won the combat, right? So nobody takes a stress. Nobody can be pushed back.
Okay. That just leaves us in combat.
But yes, now we are engaged. So, going to me, I will choose to activate the bulwarks.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
I'm going to choose to activate the bulwarks. The bulwarks, being engaged in combat, their options are limited, right? I can't move away. I can't go charge something. I can attack you, or I can disengage. If I disengage, I leave. You get an opportunity to attack against me. It's a thing to do. But I think I will just attack you instead. This is just a normal attack, right? There's no charge involved, no reroll based on the charge or any of that. Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So while we're counting up our dice, I get a blue, a black, and it looks like I get an automatic block.
Yes, you do.
So I'm going to go ahead and put that out.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
And I roll a red, an orange, and a hit, which is not very much. These guys are very defensive and not very offensive, but they will hold this point until the end of time.
There we go. And here we are.
Whew! Actually rolled really hot. Okay. Well, you've rolled 3 blocks. I've managed 4 hits. You didn't roll any full specials, so you can't trigger yours. I didn't roll any full specials, so I can't trigger mine. So here we are. I rolled 4 hits, and you've rolled 3 blocks. And so you will take...
Looks like I'll take just the 1 wound. My individual guys have 2 each, so I don't lose 1, but I do take 1 point.
You take 1 point.
There we go.
Now, you did lose the combat, because you took more wounds than me, which means, 1, you take a stress.
Okay.
And then 2, I may shove you if I desire. And I don't know that I desire to. I would rather keep you locked in here with me. Because I don't think you're going to win this fight.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Okay. So I will choose to not push you back. Therefore, we remain there. That ends the turn. I maybe was going to say something, but I don't remember what that was. Anyway, we would go to turn 9. As we are playing with not quite a full contingent of forces on the field here for the size and for the turn limit, all your guys have gone.
Mm-hmm.
That's not really a problem. You can't activate guys more than once. But in a full game, you wouldn't really run into this issue where literally everybody you have on the field has gone unless things are going very poorly for you, right? So let's just go over how this would work anyway, right? So all your guys have activated. You can activate a person again, or a squad, or a character, or anything again. However, at the end of that activation, they will take a stress. And remember, you cannot voluntarily stress yourself above your morale limit. So if you have something with a morale value of 1, like these Marauders here, that have a stress on them, they're not allowed to take another activation to do anything except for rest. Well, even then, I don't even think they can rest if they've already been activated because they take another one. So they can't do anything. But these other ones, these have a morale value of 1 plus 1 from the Wise Mane embedded in them. So they could go again and be fine. And then Njord over here has a morale value of 3. He's got 1 stress. He doesn't care about that 1 stress at all. He can do whatever he wants. Pick one of those 2 and
Okay.
do something with it.
Well, it seems to me like this center point is well guarded by these fellows here, so I think probably what I'd want to do is move my character and let's see if we got the range to do a charge here. And if not...
Moving not quite that far.
Not quite. And
But he might be in range over here.
Yeah, he could probably come crunch these guys. Yes, he does. Yeah. He does have the range for that. So can a unit charge into a melee like that?
Yes, as long as you can reach. So, as long as you aren't blocked by your own guys, right? As long as you can reach any of mine, which you can. And there are significant benefits to fighting something engaged with multiple of your units. I will start losing defense dice and
I see
all that. So,
well, let's do that then. Looks like I've easily got the range to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and charge in here.
Great.
Which, of course, is going to take... well, he's already been activated. Do
yes,
I add another?
So you will add another activated counter to him.
Okay, so there we go.
And then at the end of this activation, you will add a stress, which we can put off to the side here for now. So you have charged. You can... this lets you reroll your dice, right, and do all that stuff. You can also, when you gather your pool, you may decide whether you want to take another stress to add a hit and a special there. Which you might not. You're getting a little up there now.
Yeah, at this point, at the end of this activation, I'll be up to 2, and I've got a morale of 3. So, I would say, for the sake of argument, let's go ahead and do that. Let's add the second stress.
Sure. Here's another one for
There
you.
we go.
That one goes on you right now.
Okay.
And you're going to add those symbols. So gather your pool.
So that's 2 reds, an orange, and a yellow.
And here's your...
And there's my automatic. There we go. There's my automatic from doing the
Okay.
stress.
Now let me gather me here. So I gather green, black, and a black. However, the bulwarks here, the bulwarks of the hegemony, have a special ability called Charger's Folly, which is when an enemy unit charges or assaults you, I add another block and a hit to my roll. You're running into these spear guys, in a fortified position, right?
Gotcha.
In addition, I may re-roll 1 die from my defense roll.
Cool.
So not those dice, but from my roll I may re-roll.
So, as you said earlier, highly defensive.
Highly defensive. They
Gotcha.
don't hit very hard, but they will hold this point. They also, which we haven't hit yet, but they have 3 wounds apiece, not 2. They're very hard to take down. But they are very slow. And we're not going to do much once they're there besides stand there. But hopefully they can withstand this assault, because that is their job. So here we go.
Here we go. That is a fairly reasonable roll. I
Okay.
think I'm going to keep that.
Okay. I do get to reroll 1 die for my roll, so I will do that. Didn't get any better, but that's okay. Okay. Do you have any switches you would like to apply here?
I don't believe that there's anything that I can activate.
You also do get to see. You get to see this. I have 5 blocks sitting out here, and you only have 5 hits. You're not going to do any damage, so you might as well re-roll the charge and try to get because these red dice can roll 2 hits on them. Like you might as well try to high roll. There's no difference between rolling 4 and
just to
rolling
see
3.
how that plays out.
Sure.
Yeah, we could do that. We'll see if it might be worse. It might be better. Who knows?
But if it's worse, it can't get worse. You're already doing no damage.
Right. Exactly. So at this point, might as well.
Might as well.
From a.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. I forgot one thing here. This is important to you. Okay, because I am engaged with multiple units when I am attacked. After I roll my defense dice, but before I would get my rerolls, I must remove 1 die that I rolled that has a block on it. If there are multiple dice that have a block on it, you get to choose which one that is. In this instance, there's 1 clear choice, which is the double block, right? So here's what now I have rolled. I have 3 blocks and a hit. So you had 4. I would usually reroll that just because I think swinging high is more important. But you could keep those 4 if you would like to.
I think I'm going to go reroll anyway.
Go for it.
Thank you
I'm
for
sorry, I almost
pointing that
forgot
out.
about that.
That's okay.
Very important. This is a reason. This is the whole reason you go in here against 2 units. So.
Right. Okay. So let's go ahead and do
Let's
that.
do it.
And just hope that we get something better.
Absolutely.
And we've
It's gonna be the
got actually 4 versus 3, so about the same as
It's going to be
before.
the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
So remember, you have this.
However, I do have now
You got
3
four specials. You got 4 specials, which is very good for you.
4 specials, and I can use as many of them as I want.
As long, so you can spend 2 to.
So I can spend 2 specials to cancel 1 block.
Yep.
And since I've got 2 of those, I can cancel 2
You can
blocks.
spend 4 to cancel 2 blocks.
Right.
Indeed.
So now I've got 4 hits versus 1 block.
And 1 hollow hit. You can spend that hollow hit to deal a wound, or because you are elite, you can make it a full hit.
Well, it's going to be the
Effectively
same.
the
So
same
yeah,
thing,
and we'll spend the hollow hit to inflict a wound.
inflict
So
a
it
wound.
looks like altogether I've got.
So to do this in the right timing, you would spend the hollow hit to do the wound.
Okay.
And then we would do the cancellation of hits and blocks. So I have 1 block remaining, which then removes 1 hit from you. So there's 3 left. So I will take 3 more wounds, which is enough to kill exactly 1 person. They have 3 wounds each. So I will remove this bulwark. Now, note, I did have a hit as well.
Correct.
So you will take a damage here.
Okay.
Sorry.
There we are.
Which then puts you at
Puts me at 3 hits,
3.
and I've got 4 wounds.
Very
so
close.
I'm there.
Now I took 4 wounds there, and you took 1. So I would have lost the combat, and you win the combat, right? So I will take a stress for losing the combat. Go ahead and go to 2, or go to 1. And then you may try to push me back. However, the bulwarks have the immovable trait, which I believe makes them immune to being pushed back. I can look that up, but I believe it makes them be immune to being pushed back there. So.
Well, that being the case, there's nothing to do there, so we just end deadlocked like this.
We sure do. And if I were to activate the bulwarks and attack one of your units, the other one would then have the opportunity to make an attack of opportunity. They would get that choice. To do so usually requires being stressed, I'm pretty sure. So it might, in this specific scenario, it might not work out so well. But there's downsides even on my turn to being engaged with multiple things, right? However, I believe I'm not going to do that. I am going to activate Lady Talia and try to finish off Njord here, who is limping along on 1 wound. So we'll see if we can do that. So I'm going to activate Lady Talia again. She has a morale of 2, but only 1 stress, so we're fine there. I'm going to end up taking another one at the end. Okay, so I will activate Lady Talia again, and we will try to finish off Njord, because this is very important. This large variant rampaging through my forces, actually killing bulwarks. This is not allowed. So we will take Talia. For my first action, I will take the shot right now.
Okay.
So I will roll same things I rolled before. Now, I'm not gonna do that. Red, yellow, hit is what I get to roll.
And at this point, I'm kind of wishing I hadn't taken the extra stress, because if I had the extra stress to take, I could add 2, looks like, well, actually it's a red and an orange, but since I can't willingly go above my morale, then unfortunately I can't do that.
Yes. However, as this is a ranged attack, you wouldn't be able to do it anyway. Because you can't roll those offensive dice. But yes, if my bulwarks had attacked you, you would be prevented from willingly taking that extra stress to roll those hits. So that's the give and take, but on a ranged attack.
Okay, gotcha. Great, here we go.
Here we go. I will be applying aim again, but oops.
I rolled about as reasonably.
You rolled really well. I need to. That means I'm doing no damage currently, so I must re-roll this, which I will because I have aim. So I'm going to spend my aim, and hopefully get through here. Oh, that is much better. Because I finally rolled. Lady Talia has a very powerful hollow special switch. She can spend 1 hollow special to cancel 2 blocks.
Oh.
So I will spend this to cancel 2 blocks. And now I have 3 hits to your 1 block, and that
definitely takes
that is
it down.
enough.
That's good old Njord gone.
Good old Njord.
Bump.
Victim to a sniper rifle.
There we go.
Now, as I did shoot into a melee combat where one of my units was, that unit takes a stress at the end of the activation for being shot at. And then, it's our first time we've gone over. So the bulwarks only have a morale of 1, but now they are at 2 stress. This is important. If your stress value ever goes above your morale value, you must at the end of that activation take a panic test, which is just a willpower check. My willpower check is orange-yellow. I must roll 1 hit on this check to avoid becoming demoralized and fleeing. I will roll it. I did roll 2 hits. This is where the frightened on Njord, where he got frightened earlier, would come into play. If you are frightened, you must re-roll your successful morale checks until you pass 2 in a row, basically. But I did pass, which means that I do not break, I do not flee, and then I reduce my stress back down to equal my morale value.
Well, since Njord is down, we're going to go ahead and remove him from the table, remove him from play. And that would be, I believe, the end of the round, if I'm not mistaken.
We would have 1 more turn. I think we're going to make it the end of the round because there's just, as we have so few units on the table, the round gets very awkward at this point. So let's make it the end of the round. This marker happens at the end of whatever turn it would say on. This is the round end marker. So say it ended on turn 9.
Okay.
Making a change. At the end of turn 9, which is what we just hit, we now hit the end of round. Okay?
Right.
So at the end of the round, a number of things happen. The very first thing you do is score. Okay? So, the hegemony has maintained control of their home objectives. That is worth 1 point. So they will go up to 3 points. The Northern Tribes has also maintained control of their home objectives, which is a point.
Mm-hmm.
And they now have the center objective, which is 2 points.
So 3 more points.
So they're, 2 points total. 1.
Okay.
So up to 3. Neither side has managed to take any of the enemy objectives, which is where the real points come in this mission. So we're still kind of in a stalemate. It's 3-3 right now.
Right.
But That is that. Okay. Then you do no man left behind. This is a very important rule and cool rule in this game, where any units that did not activate, which we don't have any to show, unfortunately, but any units that did not activate get one free full move up into the field. So you can do things like do a little kind of like a hard push on one side of the board without neglecting your slow advance on the other side. You just get that for free if those units didn't advance. Really cool mechanic, and it makes it feel. I've played this game a number of times where I've like sat down, set up my forces, looked at the mission, kind of thought through my strategy, and gone, wow, I really don't have very many activations to like get this done. But that No Man Left Behind really helps you, like, you don't need to spend all those activations moving up your side of the board slowly. That's going to happen naturally.
I see.
It's really cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
But that happens after scoring. Important to note, right? You don't get to walk that in and then score with it. And then, after that has happened, we remove activation counters from everybody. Everybody who is not actively fleeing loses a stress. Or dead, like Bjorn. Poor guy here. But all the activation counters will come off. Everybody will remove one stress unless they are actively fleeing the table, which means most people will go back down to 0 because most people stop at 1 stress. But Lady Talia still has 1 remaining on her. Njord would have 2 remaining on him, but he's dead.
He's gone, so this one goes there, these go here, and then these go over there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then we would go to a new round, which means we would move the end of round counter up a number of turns as denoted by the mission, say 4, and we would just continue from there. The initiative marker would probably change hands. As I mentioned earlier, whoever is behind gets the initiative marker at the beginning of each round. If we are tied, like we are now, 3-3, it changes hands from whoever had it last.
Right.
So I would receive the initiative marker, which means I would decide who gets to go first or second this round.
Okay. Well, at this point, I think it'd be a great place to end and throw it on to our audience to say, where do you think this fight would go? Given the state of the table, given the forces, we've each lost a character here. We've had a few minor losses in the units. It looks like we are really neck to neck right now, looks to me.
I would be concerned as the hegemony player just because these Orc Marauders are not, or these Orc Hunters are not, they're not as damaged as I would like. And they are going to chew through my remaining forces with relative ease, probably. Dice being what they are.
But dice being
but
what
you
they
never
are,
know. You never know.
Count it until the last die is
Absolutely.
rolled. So let's cut it there, and we'll come back for our outro here in a second. Catch you on the flip side. Okay, guys, and we're back. That was really interesting. I am completely new to this game. I've never played Warcrow before today. Mark has played a little bit. I know that you and Carson have played some. So I'm looking at this table, I'm looking at how the game went, and I found it to be fairly straightforward. In reviewing the rules right before we started shooting, we discussed some stuff, and it sounded very complex to me. I was kind of afraid a little bit. I thought, ooh, that seems like a lot of stuff to remember. But during the actual flow of the game, it actually went pretty smoothly, I thought. It helps a lot, of course, that Carson here is obviously very, very familiar with the game. And so was able to keep things on track for us. But still, having said that, it flowed very smoothly. So I thought that went pretty well. My big character, Njord, this guy here with the axe, the big character, he was a very crunchy guy. He did a lot of flaying and filleting. But he went down in the end to your very excellent sharpshooter there, your marksman. That was an excellent Lady Talia. But still, as a character and as a force on the battlefield, he was something to be reckoned with. So I thought he was definitely my MVP there. Although the Marauders, though, apparently are very crunchy themselves. And I think you're probably... The Hunters, pardon me.
Yes.
The Hunters, I think, probably would have done some significant crunching had we continued on. So... Yeah, from a flow perspective, I love games that do alternating activation. I hate games where one side goes, the other side goes. That seems so unrealistic and so unnatural.
So dated.
Dated is a good word for it. So the alternating activation, I thought, was very, very smooth. It worked very well, I think, here. The dice are super interesting. These are proprietary dice. with various markers on them, as we've discussed. Some of them are offensive dice and some of them are defensive dice. So the offensive ones will have hits on them. The defensive dice will have blocks or shields, as they're shown here, on them. So I've never been a big fan, I got to tell you, of proprietary dice in games,
Really
but
common, yeah.
when it works so well with the game mechanics,
Yeah.
and it ties in so tightly to the way this game works and flows,
Yeah.
it makes sense. And in this case, I kind of like them. I like the idea of the color coding, with the different colors meaning different strengths or grades, you know, stronger versus weaker, black being the worst usually,
Right, yeah.
and the reds being the best apparently.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, these dice are very. I don't remember if they're identical, but they're very, very close to a dice from a board game that Corvus Belli made called Arstea. They use They use the same idea of the specials and the switches and the hollow symbols and that kind of stuff. I don't remember if these dice are exactly, or some of them are identical, but they're very similar to that. This was made by the same team that made that board game, so they've kind of had experience making those dice and then working those proprietary dice into the mechanics, as you say, which I agree is very important to using proprietary dice. You have to have a reason for it. Right?
Yes, there has to be a reason for it. In this case, I think that applies
The
here.
variety of the symbols and the fact that some of them are hollow and some of them are full make for an incredible amount of versatility. I was just noting the ability to stack different characteristics and different abilities on the models and designate that they activate on those certain types of dice rolls makes it so much richer and so much more thorough. I really appreciated watching that.
Yeah, and it's hard to know the odds off the top of your head because of the proprietary dice, but you can see something like that on the very end there. Talia had that where she rolls that hollow special to cancel 2 blocks. Like that's the odds of that are fairly low. That's a very low. I think there's only one of them on this yellow die, right? So that was almost like she rolled a crit there and killed 2 things. Yeah,
very nice, very nice. Yeah, I love that. I love that it does introduce that variability and random stuff like that, or low probability stuff like that. It's still in there. It's still possible, right? So the magic system seemed very straightforward. In a lot of games, magic can be fairly complex, but in this game, it's pretty much like just ranged attack, really, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, so the one that I did was simply a ranged attack. You can do other things. This elf mage that I did use has another spell that lets him, it's called Hand of Wind, it lets him displace enemy units, so it doesn't actually do any damage, but he can throw you around.
Cool.
Which objective control is very important. Very important, right? I'm not going to kill you, but I can get you off the point. Where we didn't get into it a little bit is it is very simple if you're just doing the base level spells, right? Because those will probably always succeed and you'll probably be fine. There is an entire mechanic called Tinge where if you start modifying or making your spell harder to get the better effects from it, you run the risk of manifesting Tinge. Tinge in this universe is kind of like the evilness of magic that manifests in the caster as they practice more and more, right? So all spellcasters in the universe have to manage Tinge in some way. So in the game, it manifests as like if you roll on those modifier blocks, the modifier dice. If you roll the hollow switches, you start stacking Tinge tokens on your spellcaster, and for every Tinge token you have, it makes it harder to cast spells. And then additionally, the Tinge can manifest and do bad things kind of in an area around the spellcaster. So whether that means all units within a certain range get frightened, or all the way up to if you have a bunch of Tinge tokens on you, your spellcaster can explode in a very horrible, frightening death. Those effects always affect everybody, so they can affect your friends if you're sitting in the back line, but they can also affect enemies, right? I mean, nobody wants to see the crazy possessed spellcaster running at them about to explode, right? So it's going to be interesting. There is an entire faction in this game that is kind of, they embrace the Tinge. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they play in the wargame once we start getting those rules about whether they want to be taking Tinge or whether they can use it in different ways. We'll have to see. But that is a whole thing we didn't... It's really hard to get into with just one spellcaster on the table. Once you start having multiple and they start trying to cancel each other's spells, then that becomes more frequent. But with one caster in the game, it's very hard to see it. But there is a whole thing to the magic side of this.
Pushing your luck has a price. Huh?
There is a price. Yeah.
Looking at the minis and the actual the style and design of these are just wonderfully detailed.
Gosh, I love them
guys.
so much.
They're
I love them
gorgeous.
so
They're
much.
gorgeous minis.
Yeah.
I kind of have a weakness for orcs, Mark will tell you. I kind of like orky types of characters, and these have a really interesting feel. They're not quite traditional orcs. They're a little bit nobler.
Yeah, they're very much like that, and their lore is much like that as well. They're these aren't Warhammer orcs, right? And they're not Lord of the Rings orcs either. They're very noble. They have this very well crafted society and all this stuff. But they are also brutal on the battlefield. Right?
They're
big hulking monsters that will tear you to pieces.
They're
and they're
big
very
and
good
tanky and crunchy. Yeah, exactly. So looking at the sort of the world building here and the overall the factions and so forth, strikes me as being just a tinge of steampunk to it. Like for example,
a little bit, over in the hegemony.
Yeah, the hegemony seems to be kind of one of those polyglot, lots of different races together. You do have a little bit higher technology, like the firearm, for example. Maybe a unique example, but still, it's there.
Yeah,
I like how the models mirror their abilities. Like these guys are really sleek and just have this look to them. Of that sleekness, and then the bulwarks just look so solid.
Yeah, and it's really cool. It's like the same armor. If you really get into it, they have really similar armor. It's just the bulwarks helmets are a little bigger, and they have an extra knee pad, and they have an extra it's really cool. It's really well done.
Plus their stances, like these guys have very dynamic stances, whereas these guys have very shielding and blocking kinds of a stance. So that's pretty cool.
I have a question about one of the unit's abilities. I wanted to see this happen in the game. This unit right here that had the capacity to move and then do the tattoo. Yeah. Could they have moved and jumped over gone right into the sniper?
I mean, if they had the distance, maybe, but yes.
But
you don't need their little jump ability doesn't need line of sight, so they can jump over things and over buildings and
that's pretty cool.
They're very
Speaking
agile.
of buildings, I have to say, the terrain elements that you see on this table bar the actual mat. But these elements here, like this cutout here for these trees and these walls and these buildings, this all comes in the starter set.
All of it. Yep.
And this is really cool stuff. Like I love this building, for example. I'm totally in love with this building. I love
it's solid. Yeah.
It's a very nice looking building, very intricate. Yet it's made of cardboard, so it's pretty cool. I love that much stuff comes in the box. You pointed out to me before the game that these rulers, there's 2 sets of them in the box because it is a 2-player box set.
It is.
And so you get 2 sets of everything that you need, which is really, really cool, really well thought out.
And there's enough tokens for 2 players I've found. They give you a lot, plenty of tokens. So enough for 2. I would say it's enough for 2 players.
If someone and their friend picks this up, should they buy an extra dice pack?
That is the only thing it doesn't come with, but that is also the only thing they actually sell separately. So it's easy to buy another dice pack. You can share dice because it's very uncommon that you are going to be needing the same dice at the same time as your opponent. Right? Because there's offense dice and defense dice, and they're not the same dice, right? But I would probably recommend grabbing a dice pack, It's easy enough to grab, and it will be all the dice you will ever need for the game, because there is that hard limit. I don't know if I said this during our game, but there is a hard limit of you can only roll 3 of any color at any time, period. Even if you would get things that would let you roll more, you're capped at 3. So 1 dice pack is all you'll ever need.
But you noted you don't discard that cap. You have to take a different penalty instead.
Depending, Sometimes you can roll if you would roll a 4th red, it will let you roll an orange instead of the 4th red. Right?
Got it. Well, we really appreciate you being here today.
Very happy to be here.
Well, I'd happily play this game again. This is really cool. I'd love to play this again sometime. I had a lot of fun.
Great.
Excellent.
Okay, and that's it, folks. We hope that you enjoyed this look at Warcrow, the game. Please do note that the rules are free, available online at the Corvus Belli's website. We're going to go ahead and link in the description down below. Feel free to have a look. Maybe you'll want to get into this.
Yeah, please tell us how you feel about the game, how you felt about our battle, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Remember to give us a like and subscribe down below. We'll see you next time.